I was scrolling Instagram during my lunch break, mindlessly swiping through filters and beach selfies. Then it hit me like a punch. My sister, Sophie, was sprawled on a sun-soaked Miami beach, her designer sunglasses perched perfectly on her nose. A mojito gleamed in her hand, ice cubes catching the light. The caption? "Living my best life deserves a paradise." My stomach twisted before my brain could catch up. I'm Emma, 33, the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who learned early on that chasing validation was a losing game in my family. Hey, you okay? Noah's voice snapped me out of it. He leaned over my cubicle wall, his coffee mug dangling dangerously. You look like you just saw a ghost. I tilted my phone toward him, my hands already trembling. Remember that emergency credit card I gave Mom and Dad? Noah's eyes widened. No way. I opened my banking app, my fingers fumbling. The charges started 5 days ago. A first-class flight to Miami, $2,800. A deposit for Paradise Cove Resort, $3,500. Spa treatments, $1,200. Designer boutiques, $4,500. $12,000 and climbing. My chest tightened, each number a betrayal etched in black and white. I'm gonna lose it, I muttered, gripping the edge of my desk. Noah slid into the chair across from me. Call them. Now. I dialed Mom's number, my heart pounding. She picked up on the third ring, her voice dripping with honey. Emma, sweetheart, what a surprise. Mom, why is Sophie charging a Miami vacation to my credit card? I kept my tone steady, but it was like holding back a storm. Oh, honey, hold on. I heard her shuffle, probably stepping away from whatever card game she was playing with Dad. Sophie's been so stressed, working at that boutique. She needed a break. That card was for emergencies only, Mom. We agreed. My voice cracked, the storm breaking through. This isn't an emergency. It's a luxury trip. Now, don't be selfish, Emma. You're doing so well, with your fancy job and six-figure salary. Sophie deserves this for her mental health. I closed my eyes, the familiar guilt creeping in like fog. It was the same script every time. When they drained my savings for Sophie's art classes. When they borrowed my car and let her crash it into a pole. When they convinced me to co-sign her apartment lease, only for her to ditch it 3 months later, leaving me with the bill. Stop, I said, sharper than I'd ever dared with her. A vacation isn't an emergency. You had no right. Emma, really, Mom sighed, like I was the unreasonable one. You've never treated your sister to anything. Be generous for once. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Generous? I'd been their ATM for years, always cleaning up their messes, always swallowing the hurt. Put Dad on. He's busy, Mom said, her tone clipped. Mom, I'm serious. She huffed. Richard, your daughter's being difficult again. Dad's gruff voice came through, like gravel under boots. What's the problem, Emma? The problem is you stole from me. Again. Stole. He snorted. Don't be so dramatic. We're family. Families help each other. Family doesn't rack up 12 grand on someone else's card for a beach getaway, I shot back. I paid for my own college, worked 3 jobs while Sophie got everything handed to her. This stops now. Here we go with the jealousy, Mom chimed in, her voice dripping with pity. I thought you were past this. 20 years of therapy flashed before me. Their game was so clear now. Manipulation. Control. Twisting every boundary I set into proof I was the bad guy. I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles white. You have 24 hours to get Sophie on a plane home and return every cent. Or I report this as fraud. You wouldn't dare, Mom whispered, her voice low and venomous. Try me, I said, and hung up. Noah raised an eyebrow, half impressed, half worried. You're really doing this? I nodded, staring at my phone. Another Instagram notification popped up. Sophie, posing by a palm tree, captioned, Paradise vibes only. I clicked the banking app again, my finger hovering over the cancel card button. They'd made their choice. Now they'd live with it. I sat at my desk, the phone still warm in my hand from hanging up on Mom. My heart was racing, like I'd just sprinted a mile. Noah leaned against the cubicle wall, sipping his coffee, watching me like he was waiting for me to explode. "You okay, Em?" he asked, his voice soft but probing. "No," I said, staring at the banking app still open on my phone. $12,000. Gone. For Sophie's Miami getaway. I could still hear Mom's syrupy voice, defending it like it was nothing. Like I was the one being unreasonable. I dialed her number again, my fingers shaking as it hovered over the call button. This time, I wasn't backing down. She picked up on the third ring, same as before. "Emma, honey, calling back so soon?" Diane's tone was all sweetness, like we were chatting about Sunday brunch. "Cut it out, Mom," I said, my voice low, steady, but sharp enough to slice through her act. "Why is Sophie charging $12,000 to my credit card for a Miami vacation? That card was for emergencies. You know that. We had an agreement." There was a pause, the kind that feels like she's picking her words carefully. "Oh, sweetheart, you're blowing this out of proportion. Sophie's been under so much pressure at that boutique job. She needed this trip to recharge. It's for her mental health." Mental health. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "A first-class flight and a 5-star resort aren't therapy, Mom. They're theft. You had no right to use my card." "Now, Emma, don't be so harsh," she said, her voice turning patronizing. "You're doing so well for yourself. That fancy tech job, 6 figures, no kids to worry about. You can afford to help your sister out. Don't be selfish." Selfish. That word hit me like a slap, the same one she'd used since I was a kid. Every time I set a boundary, every time I said no, it was me being selfish. I closed my eyes, memories flooding back. When they drained my college savings to pay for Sophie's private art classes. When they borrowed my car and let her crash it, then blamed me for not maintaining it. When they begged me to co-sign Sophie's apartment lease, only for her to bail 3 months later, leaving me to cover the rent. "Stop," I said, my voice sharper than I'd ever used with her. "This isn't about me being selfish. This is about you and Dad stealing from me. Again." "Stealing?" Dad's voice cut in, rough and impatient. I hadn't even heard him pick up the extension. "Don't be so damn dramatic, Emma. We're family. Families help each other out." "Help?" I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles white. "You call racking up $12,000 on my card for Sophie's beach selfies helping? I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college while you paid for Sophie's every whim. I'm done being your ATM." "Here we go with the jealousy." Mom jumped in, her tone dripping with fake pity. "I thought you'd grown past this, Emma. Sophie's trying to build a career. She needs support." "Jealousy?" I stood up, pacing the small space of my cubicle. Noah raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. "I'm not jealous, Mom. I'm furious. You've crossed a line and you're acting like it's my fault." "Emma, calm down," Dad said, like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. "We raised you, put a roof over your head. You owe us." "I owe you nothing," I snapped. "I paid for my own tuition. I rebuilt my credit after you trashed it when I was 17. This stops now." Silence. For once, they didn't have a quick comeback. I took a deep breath, my voice unnaturally calm. "You have 24 hours to get Sophie on a flight home from Miami and return every cent. Or I report this as fraud to the bank." "You wouldn't dare," Mom whispered, her voice low, almost a hiss. "Try me," I said, my tone ice cold. 24 hours. I hung up before they could respond, my hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Noah let out a low whistle. "Damn, Em. That was intense." I sank back into my chair, staring at the blank screen. "They've been doing this my whole life, Noah." But not anymore. Another Instagram notification pinged. Sophie, lounging by the Paradise Cove pool, captioned, "Chasing dreams in paradise." I clenched my jaw. They thought they could guilt me into submission again. They were wrong. I sat frozen, staring at my phone, the weight of my ultimatum to mom and dad still sinking in. 24 hours. That's what I gave them. Noah was still perched on the edge of my desk, his coffee mug now cold. "You sure about this, Em?" he asked, his voice quiet, like he knew I was standing on the edge of something irreversible. I didn't answer right away. My thumb hovered over the banking app, the screen still showing the $12,000 in charges Sophie had racked up in Miami. First-class flights. Paradise Cove Resort. Designer clothes. Every transaction felt like a knife twist, a reminder of how my family saw me, a resource to exploit, not a person to respect. "They've had enough chances," I said finally, my voice steady but laced with years of buried hurt. Before Noah could respond, my phone buzzed. A new Instagram notification. Sophie, posing with a cream-colored leather handbag, the kind that costs more than my monthly rent. Her caption read, "Early birthday gift from mom and dad. Retail therapy hits different." I showed it to Noah, my jaw tight. "They're not even pretending to stop." He shook his head, muttering, "Unbelievable." I opened the banking app again, navigating to the card services section. My finger lingered over the cancel card button. A flood of texts lit up my screen. "Mom, Emma, this is childish. Fix the card now." "Sophie, what the hell? My spa booking just got declined." "Dad, call me immediately." I ignored them all, my heart pounding. They were panicking, and for once, I wasn't the one scrambling to fix their mess. "You don't have to do this alone," Noah said, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder. "But if you're ready, I've got your back." I nodded, taking a deep breath. They made their choice. I tapped the button. A confirmation screen loaded, cold and final. Card successfully canceled. I stared at it, feeling a strange mix of relief and dread. "No going back now." Noah gave me a small smile. "Karma's a harsh teacher, huh?" "Not karma," I said, grabbing my phone to dial the bank's fraud prevention line. "Consequences." The call connected, and a calm voice answered. "This is Mia from Fraud Prevention. How can I help you today?" I sat up straighter, ignoring the curious glances from coworkers passing by. "I need to report unauthorized charges on my credit card. My parents and sister are using it for a luxury trip in Miami. I never approved any of it." Mia's tone sharpened slightly. "Can you walk me through the situation?" I laid it out. The emergency card I gave mom and dad, the $12,000 in charges, the first-class tickets, the resort deposits, the spa days. "I told them to stop," I said, my voice catching. "They refused. They think it's fine because we're family." "That's a significant amount," Mia said, keys clicking in the background. "Have you confronted them?" "Yes." "They won't refund or stop using it." I hesitated, then added, "I want to press charges." Noah raised his eyebrows, but stayed silent. Mia's voice turned all business. "Understood. I'll freeze the card immediately and start an investigation. You'll need to file formal complaints for each charge. Given the amount and the family connection, this could lead to criminal proceedings. Are you prepared for that?" "Absolutely," I said, surprising myself with how certain I sounded. My phone buzzed again, another text from Sophie. "You're ruining my vacation. Fix this." I ignored it, focusing on Mia's instructions. "The card's frozen now," she said. "Any pending charges will be declined. I'm emailing you the claim forms. Complete them within 24 hours. "Thank you," I said, hanging up. Noah leaned back, letting out a low whistle. "You're not messing around, Em." I looked at Sophie's latest Instagram post, her smug smile mocking me from the screen. "Neither are they," I said, my voice hard. "But they're about to learn what happens when you push too far." I leaned back in my chair, the bank's confirmation email still open on my laptop. The card was frozen, the fraud report filed, but my pulse hadn't slowed. Noah was scrolling through his phone, his brow furrowed. "Sophie's still posting," he said, tilting the screen toward me. Another Instagram story. Sophie sipping a cocktail by the Paradise Cove pool in Miami. Captioned, "No stress, just vibes." I clenched my fists. They weren't just ignoring Methy, were flaunting it. "That's it," I said, grabbing my phone. "They think they can keep this up? They're wrong." I searched for the contact number for Paradise Cove Resort, my fingers moving faster than my thoughts. Noah watched, a mix of curiosity and concern in his eyes. "What's the plan, Em?" "Making sure they can't run from this," I said, dialing the international line. After 3 rings, a polite voice answered. "Paradise Cove Resort, this is Eric. How may I assist you?" "Hi, Eric," I said, keeping my tone calm but firm. "I'm calling about guests at your resort, Diane and Richard, and their daughter, Sophie. I'm the card holder for the credit card they're using to pay for their stay." Eric paused, then said, "Yes, we've had some issues with their payment today. The card was declined for additional charges." "That's because they're using my card fraudulently," I said, my voice steady despite the anger simmering inside. "I've already reported it to my bank, but I wanted to inform you directly. They're not authorized to use it." There was a brief silence, like Eric was processing the weight of my words. "I see. That's very concerning. Could you provide documentation to support this?" "I'm drafting it now," I said, balancing the phone while opening my email. "I'll send proof of card ownership, the fraud report number, and screenshots of their texts admitting they used it without permission." "Much appreciated," Eric said, his tone sharpening with professionalism. "We take fraud seriously here. If I may ask, do you have any reason to believe they're planning to avoid the remaining balance?" I hesitated, then leaned into the truth. "They have a history of this," I said. "Skipping out on bills, using other people's money. I wouldn't be surprised if they're planning to dodge the rest of the tab." Eric's voice grew firm. "Thank you for the heads up. We'll handle this immediately. Expect an update once we've reviewed your documents." I hung up, my heart pounding with a strange mix of adrenaline and satisfaction. Noah raised an eyebrow, half smirking. "You're terrifying when you've got a plan, you know that?" "This is just the start," I said, typing up the email to Eric. I attached the bank statements, the fraud report, and a screenshot of Mom's text. "Emma, this is childish. Fix the card now." Every piece of evidence felt like a brick in the wall I was building between me and their lies. We didn't have to wait long. Less than an hour later, Noah's phone pinged with a notification. He grinned, holding it up. "Check this out." It was an Instagram live from Sophie's friend, Mia, who was tagging along on the trip. "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing," Mia said, her voice shaky as she filmed from the resort's dining area. "The manager just confronted Sophie's parents at dinner. Security's involved now. This is wild." I watched, my breath catching. The camera panned to Sophie, her face flushed, arguing with a suited man who I assumed was Eric. Diane was gesturing wildly, while Richard sat stone-faced. The comments were brutal. "Wait, they're using someone else's card? That's straight-up fraud, LOL. Busted." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "How dare you humiliate us like this? The hotel's threatening legal action." I showed it to Noah, my jaw tight. "Mom," I said, blocking the number without replying. Noah leaned back, shaking his head. "They're panicking, Em." "Good. Let them squirm." I nodded, staring at the frozen Instagram frame of Sophie's shocked face. For the first time, I felt like I was the one in control. But this wasn't over. Not even close. The office was quiet, but my mind was a storm. Noah sat across from me, scrolling through Instagram, his expression a mix of disbelief and amusement. It's blowing up," he said, showing me Sophie's latest post. A selfie by the Paradise Cove pool in Miami, captioned, "Betrayed by those closest to you. Stay true." The comments were a battlefield. "Girl, you stole someone's credit card? This is fraud, not a vibe. Hope you enjoy jail." For once, the internet wasn't buying her victim act. I leaned back, my phone buzzing with texts from cousins, aunts, even my parents' neighbor. Emma, what's going on with your family? Saw Sophie's post. Did she really use your card? Diane's saying you're overreacting. I ignored them all, my chest tight. The world was watching my family unravel, and they were still painting me as the villain. Noah nudged me. You holding up okay? I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled an old journal from my bag, its pages worn from years of late-night confessions. I flipped to an entry from when I was 17, my handwriting shaky. Mom and Dad opened a credit card in my name. Didn't find out until collectors called. They said it was for Sophie's dance camp. I cried all night. Another page, years later. They drained my savings for Sophie's art school. Said I'd get it back. Never did. Every word was a scar, proof of how long they'd been bleeding me dry. Noah said softly, his eyes on the journal. This isn't just about Miami, is it? No, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. It's about 33 years of being their backup plan. I closed the journal, the weight of it heavy in my hands. They never stopped, Noah. Not once. My phone rang, cutting through the silence. It was Eric from Paradise Cove Resort. Miss Emma, we've reviewed your documents, he said, his tone all business. Your parents and Sophie are being held in a meeting room until they settle the outstanding balance. We've informed local authorities about potential fraud, as you suggested. Thank you, Eric, I said, a strange calm settling over me. Please keep me updated. Will do, he said. And, for what it's worth, you're doing the right thing. I've seen families pull stunts like this before. It's not easy to stand up to them. I hung up, staring at the ceiling. Standing up to them. That's what this was, wasn't it? But why did it feel like I was tearing myself apart in the process? Noah's phone pinged again, and he let out a low whistle. Mia's live again, he said, showing me the screen. Sophie's friend Mia was filming from the resort lobby, her voice hushed, but frantic. This is insane, you guys. Security just escorted Sophie's parents out of dinner. They're saying the credit card was stolen. Sophie's freaking out. The camera zoomed in on Sophie, her face red, arguing with a security guard. Diane was waving her hands, while Richard stared at the floor. The comments were merciless. Karma's real. Hope they enjoy the consequences. Who's the card holder? Spill the tea. I couldn't look away, even though each frame twisted the knife deeper. My phone buzzed with another text, this time from my cousin Rachel. I'm so sorry. I saw the news. They did this to Aunt Clara who used her name for a loan. We had no idea it was this bad. I didn't reply. How many others were out there, hurt by the same lies? Noah put his phone down, his expression serious. The internet's turning on them, This is bigger than you thought. I know, I said, my voice hollow. I opened Instagram again, scrolling through Sophie's posts. Every smile, every caption, was a mask. A lie, but the comments gave me a strange sense of validation. People were seeing the truth, even if my family refused to. My email pinged. Eric again. We've detained the guests. Local police are on their way. Please send any additional evidence. I started drafting a reply, attaching more screenshots, when another Instagram notification popped up. Sophie, posting a cryptic quote, "When family turns against you, you find out who you really are." I laughed, bitter and broken. She still thought she was the victim. They'll never stop, I said, looking at Noah. But neither will I. I was still reeling from the Instagram chaos when my phone rang, an unknown number flashing on the screen. Noah glanced over, his eyebrows raised. You answering that? He asked, his voice cautious. I nodded, my stomach churning, and picked up. This is Agent Harper with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, a woman's voice said, calm but authoritative. Am I speaking with Emma? Yes, I said, my throat dry. Noah leaned closer, sensing the shift in the air. What's this about? We've received documents from your bank regarding unauthorized credit card charges, Agent Harper said. But there's more. The resort in Miami sent security footage. Your mother, Diane, checked in using your name, claiming to be you. That's not just fraud, it's identity theft. I froze, the words sinking in like stones. She pretended to be me? My voice was barely a whisper. Noah's hand found my arm, steadying me. Yes, Agent Harper confirmed. We also found a pattern of similar activity. Multiple cards, different banks, going back years. You're not their first victim, Emma. The room spun slightly. Years. Not just Miami, not just this card. What else did you find? I asked, forcing the words out. Credit applications in your name, starting when you were 17, she said. Your mother's handwriting on some, your father's fingerprints on others. They've targeted family members before cousins, an aunt, even your grandmother. Grandma Ellen, I said, my voice cracking. She died thinking she owed thousands. They said it was her fault. Agent Harper's tone softened, but only slightly. They used her information to open accounts. We're building a case, but we need your help. Are you willing to make an official statement? I closed my eyes, memories flooding back. The collectors calling when I was a teenager, demanding payments for a card I didn't know existed. Mom's casual dismissal. It was for Sophie's summer camp, Emma. We'll handle it. They never did. I worked double shifts to fix my credit while Sophie got new clothes, dance lessons, a car. And now this Diane pretending to be me at a Miami resort, Sophie smirking by the pool, Richard acting like it was all normal. Yes, I said, my voice firm despite the tremor in my hands. I'll tell you everything. Good, Agent Harper said. This is now a federal investigation. We'll need you to come in soon to review documents and provide testimony. Given the scope, multiple victims, decades of fraud, your parents and possibly your sister could face serious charges. Jail time is likely. Jail. The word hung heavy, but I didn't flinch. I understand, I said. What's next? We're seizing records from their home, she said. I'll send you details for the meeting. In the meantime, keep any communication from them. It's evidence. I hung up, my hands shaking. Noah let out a low whistle. Federal investigation? This just got huge. I know, I said, staring at my phone. A new email from the bank popped up, confirming the fraud case number. Another Instagram notification followed Sophie, posting a vague quote about family betrayal. The comments were savage. You stole from your sister, girl. Hope the feds are watching. They've been doing this forever, I said, my voice hollow. Not just to me. To Grandma Ellen. To others. How did I not see it? You saw it, Noah said, his tone gentle but firm. You just didn't have the power to stop it. Until now. I nodded, opening my laptop to draft a response to Agent Harper. My phone buzzed again, a text from Mom. Emma, you're destroying us. The hotel's threatening to call the cops. Fix this. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to Agent Harper with a note. More evidence. Noah watched me, his expression a mix of pride and worry. You're really going all in, aren't you? They left me no choice, I said, my voice steady now. I thought of Grandma Ellen, her worried eyes, her shame over debts that weren't hers. Of 17-year-old me, crying over ruined credit. Of every family member they'd betrayed. They've hurt too many people, I said. It ends with me. I was sorting through emails from Agent Harper when the office door swung open. Sophie stood there, her mascara-streaked face a mess of anger and desperation. Her designer bag dangled from her arm, a stark contrast to her trembling hands. How could you do this, Emma? She screamed, her voice echoing through the quiet office. Heads turned, but I didn't flinch. Noah stood up, positioning himself between us. Sophie, you need to calm down, he said, his tone firm but measured. Calm down. Sophie's eyes flashed. My parents are in handcuffs because of her. The hotel humiliated us, and now the cops are involved. My followers are turning on me. This is all your fault, Emma. I stood slowly, my heart pounding but my voice steady. My fault? You stole $12,000 from me, Sophie. You, Mom, and Dad thought you could keep using me like always. I'm done. You're just jealous, she spat, stepping closer. You've always hated that Mom and Dad love me more. You're ruining my career, my life, everything. The words stung, sharp and familiar. They'd said it before Mom, Dad, even Sophie every time I dared to push back. But this time, I saw it for what it was, a desperate lie to keep me in line. You're right, I said, my voice quiet but cutting. They love you more. So much they committed crimes for you. And now they're paying for it. Sophie's face crumpled, but before she could respond, my assistant poked her head in. Emma, there's a Detective Larson here to see you. A tall woman in a crisp suit stepped into the office, her badge glinting on her belt. Sophie, she said, her tone professional but unyielding. We need you to come with us. We have questions about your role in your parents' financial activities. Sophie's eyes widened, her bravado vanishing. My role? I didn't do anything. Emma, tell them. I sat back down, folding my hands on my desk. You should go with the detective, Sophie. But I'm your sister, she cried, her voice breaking. Yes, I said, meeting her gaze. And that's why this hurts so much. Detective Larson gently took Sophie's arm. Let's go, ma'am. Sophie's screams echoed down the hall as she was led away. I hate you, Emma. You've ruined everything. Noah closed the office door, muffling her voice. You okay? He asked, his eyes searching mine. No, I admitted, my hands trembling now that the adrenaline was fading. My phone was lit up with missed calls, family, friends, distant relatives, my parents' lawyer. A thick envelope had arrived earlier, a cease and desist letter from their attorney, demanding I stop defaming the family. I tossed it into a drawer, unopened. Noah's phone buzzed, and he glanced at it. Local news just posted, he said, showing me the headline, Miami couple arrested in federal fraud probe tied to influencer daughter. The article detailed the charges: credit card fraud, identity theft, years of scams. My parents' mugshots stared back at me, their faces a mix of defiance and shame. They're calling it a family scam, Noah said, scrolling. Says they've been targeting relatives for decades. I nodded, the weight of it settling in. My phone buzzed again, an email from Agent Harper. We found more evidence at your parents' home. Documents linking them to at least 10 other victims, including your Aunt Linda and Cousin Mark. We need you to review them. I forwarded the email to my lawyer, my fingers moving on autopilot. Another text came through, this time from my cousin Rachel. I'm so sorry. They took out a loan in my name too. I should have listened when you warned me years ago. I didn't reply. The apologies were piling up, but they couldn't undo the damage. Noah sat down across from me, his voice gentle. This is a lot, Em. You don't have to carry it alone. I know, I said, staring at the news article. Sophie's Instagram was still open on my laptop, her last post a tearful selfie, when your own sister betrays you. The comments were brutal. You stole from her, dude. Karma's not a filter. I closed the tab, my chest tight but my resolve unbroken. They thought they could guilt me into silence, I said, looking at Noah. They were wrong. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about everyone they've hurt. He nodded, a quiet pride in his eyes. And you're the one stopping them. I was sorting through emails from Agent Harper when the office door swung open. Sophie stood there, her mascara-streaked face a mess of anger and desperation. Her designer bag dangled from her arm, a stark contrast to her trembling hands. How could you do this, Emma? She screamed, her voice echoing through the quiet office. Heads turned, but I didn't flinch. Noah stood up, positioning himself between us. Sophie, you need to calm down, he said, his tone firm but measured. Calm down. Sophie's eyes flashed. My parents are in handcuffs because of her. The hotel humiliated us, and now the cops are involved. My followers are turning on me. This is all your fault, Emma. I stood slowly, my heart pounding but my voice steady. My fault? You stole $12,000 from me, Sophie. You, Mom, and Dad thought you could keep using me like always. I'm done. You're just jealous, she spat, stepping closer. You've always hated that Mom and Dad love me more. You're ruining my career, my life, everything. The words stung, sharp and familiar. They'd said it before Mom, Dad, even Sophie every time I dared to push back. But this time, I saw it for what it was, a desperate lie to keep me in line. You're right, I said, my voice quiet but cutting. They love you more. So much they committed crimes for you. And now they're paying for it. Sophie's face crumpled, but before she could respond, my assistant poked her head in. Emma, there's a Detective Larson here to see you. A tall woman in a crisp suit stepped into the office, her badge glinting on her belt. Sophie, she said, her tone professional but unyielding. We need you to come with us. We have questions about your role in your parents' financial activities. Sophie's eyes widened, her bravado vanishing. My role? I didn't do anything. Emma, tell them. I sat back down, folding my hands on my desk. You should go with the detective, Sophie. But I'm your sister, she cried, her voice breaking. Yes, I said, meeting her gaze. And that's why this hurts so much. Detective Larson gently took Sophie's arm. Let's go, ma'am. Sophie's screams echoed down the hall as she was led away. I hate you, Emma. You've ruined everything. Noah closed the office door, muffling her voice. You okay? He asked, his eyes searching mine. No, I admitted, my hands trembling now that the adrenaline was fading. My phone was lit up with missed calls, family, friends, distant relatives, my parents' lawyer. A thick envelope had arrived earlier, a cease and desist letter from their attorney, demanding I stop defaming the family. I tossed it into a drawer, unopened. Noah's phone buzzed, and he glanced at it. Local news just posted, he said, showing me the headline, Miami couple arrested in federal fraud probe tied to influencer daughter. The article detailed the charges: credit card fraud, identity theft, years of scams. My parents' mugshots stared back at me, their faces a mix of defiance and shame. They're calling it a family scam, Noah said, scrolling. Says they've been targeting relatives for decades. I nodded, the weight of it settling in. My phone buzzed again, an email from Agent Harper. We found more evidence at your parents' home. Documents linking them to at least 10 other victims, including your Aunt Linda and Cousin Mark. We need you to review them. I forwarded the email to my lawyer, my fingers moving on autopilot. Another text came through, this time from my cousin Rachel. I'm so sorry. They took out a loan in my name too. I should have listened when you warned me years ago. I didn't reply. The apologies were piling up, but they couldn't undo the damage. Noah sat down across from me, his voice gentle. This is a lot, Em. You don't have to carry it alone. I know, I said, staring at the news article. Sophie's Instagram was still open on my laptop, her last post a tearful selfie, when your own sister betrays you. The comments were brutal. You stole from her, dude. Karma's not a filter. I closed the tab, my chest tight but my resolve unbroken. They thought they could guilt me into silence, I said, looking at Noah. They were wrong. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about everyone they've hurt. He nodded, a quiet pride in his eyes. And you're the one stopping them. The courtroom was packed, a sea of whispers and tense faces. I sat in the front row, Noah beside me, his steady presence a quiet anchor. Across the room, Diane, Richard, and Sophie sat in orange jumpsuits, their wrists cuffed. Mom kept trying to catch my eye, her expression a mix of desperation and defiance. I stared straight ahead, my hands clasped tightly in my lap. This was the end of a long, painful chapter. The judge, a stern woman with sharp eyes, called the court to order. Be seated, she said, her voice cutting through the hum of the room. Judge Callahan adjusted her glasses, reviewing the stack of papers before her. This is one of the most egregious cases of family financial fraud I've seen in my 20 years on the bench, she began, her tone heavy with disapproval. The evidence shows a calculated pattern of identity theft and fraud spanning 2 decades, targeting the defendant's own relatives. Diane let out a soft sob, her shoulders shaking. Sophie's lawyer placed a hand on her arm, but Sophie's face remained blank, almost detached. Richard sat rigid, his jaw tight. I felt Noah's hand brush mine, a silent reminder to breathe. Judge Callahan continued, her voice unwavering. The victims include the defendant's daughter, Emma, their elderly mother, Ellen, and numerous other family members. The defendants exploited trust and loyalty for personal gain, showing no remorse until confronted with undeniable evidence. Richard's lawyer stood, clearing her throat. Your Honor, my client acknowledges their errors. Errors? Judge Callahan interrupted, her eyes narrowing. Mr. Richard, you stole your mother's identity while she suffered from dementia. Ms. Diane, you orchestrated schemes to defraud your daughter, Emma, starting when she was a teenager. Ms. Sophie, though younger, actively participated in targeting vulnerable family members for her own benefit. These are not errors. These are deliberate crimes. The room seemed to hold its breath. Diane's sobs grew louder, but I didn't look at her. I couldn't. Not after everything. Judge Callahan turned to the defendants. Do any of you wish to speak before sentencing? Diane stood, wiping her tears with cuffed hands. Your Honor, everything we did was for our family, she said, her voice trembling but practiced, like she'd rehearsed this moment. We just wanted to give Sophie the life she deserved. We never meant to hurt anyone. I couldn't stay silent. I stood, ignoring Noah's warning glance. Your Honor, may I speak? I asked, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. Judge Callahan nodded, though her expression was cautious. Briefly, Ms. Emma. I turned to face my parents and Sophie, my words spilling out like a dam breaking. You stole my identity when I was 17, I said, my voice echoing in the quiet courtroom. You ruined Grandma Ellen's final years, letting her die in shame over debts you created. You betrayed everyone who ever trusted you. And you're still lying, saying it was for family. It was for you. Diane's face hardened, her tears drying up. We gave you everything, Emma, she said, her voice sharp now. A home, a future. You gave me trauma, I cut in, my voice rising. You left me with years of therapy bills, ruined credit, and a lifetime of guilt for never being enough. You broke my trust. You broke our family. Enough, Judge Callahan said, slamming her gavel. The sound cracked through the room. Ms. Diane, Mr. Richard, you are each sentenced to 7 years in federal prison, with full restitution for all stolen funds. Diane collapsed into her chair, her face pale. Richard's fists clenched, his face flushing red. The judge turned to Sophie. Ms. Sophie, though you were younger, you knowingly participated in these schemes. You are sentenced to 3 years in federal prison, with restitution. No! Sophie shouted, her voice breaking. You can't do this. My followers need me. Judge Callahan ignored her, her expression unmoved. Bailiff, remove the defendants. As they were led away, Diane turned to me one last time, her eyes pleading. Emma, please. We're still your family. I stood, my voice clear and final, carrying through the courtroom. No, you're just people who share my DNA. And now you're convicted criminals. The bailiff ushered them out, Sophie's sobs fading down the hall. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs, but I felt a strange stillness inside. Noah squeezed my hand. You did it, he whispered. Outside, reporters swarmed us, microphones thrusting forward. Emma, how does it feel to put your family behind bars? Any comment on Sophie's claims you set her up? Are you writing a book? I paused at the car door, Noah shielding me from the chaos. My only comment is this, I said, my voice firm. Financial abuse is still abuse. Family or not, No one has the right to steal your identity or betray your trust. If you're a victim, speak up. Don't let shame silence you. I got into the car, the weight of the day settling in. But for the first time, it wasn't crushing. It was liberating. The dust from the trial was still settling when I saw Sophie's face on the local news. She was in an orange jumpsuit, speaking from prison, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I've had time to reflect," she said, her voice shaky. "I want to apologize to everyone we hurt, especially my sister, Emma." She tried to stop us, but we kept taking advantage. "I'm so sorry." The camera lingered on her, the perfect picture of remorse. I shut off the TV, my stomach twisting. "Too little, too late," I muttered, sinking into my office chair. Noah's text buzzed through. "Don't buy her crocodile tears. Check her prison trust account." I logged into the prison system's website, and sure enough, Sophie's emotional interview had worked its magic. Sympathetic followers had sent her over $1,500 in just a day. Same old Sophie, playing the victim for profit. My office phone rang, pulling me out of my thoughts. "Hi, Aunt Susan," I answered, recognizing her number. "How was the support group meeting?" "Powerful," Susan said, her voice warm but heavy. "Your cousin Mark shared his story. Did you know Diane and Richard used his identity to buy that RV they called a family investment? We're all filing civil suits now. The lawyers think we can recover most of the money. Will you testify again?" Before I could answer, an email pinged. It was from Diane, somehow sent from jail. "Dear Emma, your father had a health scare yesterday. His heart's weak. Please reconsider your stance. We're still your parents. Family forgives. Love, Mom." I read it twice, the familiar guilt creeping in, but I shook it off. I forwarded it to Agent Harper with a note, "More emotional manipulation. Please add to the file." I turned back to the phone. "Yes, Aunt Susan," I said, my voice firm. "I'll testify. They need to face everything they did." "Good for you," she said. "We're all behind you, Emma." I hung up, staring at my laptop. The support group had grown to over 20 people, all family members with stories like mine: stolen identities, drained accounts, broken trust. I'd started helping them navigate fraud reports, sharing what I'd learned from years of cleaning up my own credit. It was exhausting, but it gave me purpose, a way to turn my pain into something real. Another email arrived, this time from a group member. "Emma, your story gave me the courage to report my sister's fraud. Thank you for showing me it's not my fault." I smiled, a small flicker of warmth in the heaviness. I wasn't alone anymore. My phone buzzed again, another text from Noah. "Sophie's trending again. People aren't buying her apology." I opened Instagram, curious despite myself. Sophie's latest post was a handwritten note from prison. "I'm learning who I am through this pain." The comments were ruthless. "Learning to scam from jail? You owe your sister, not tears." I closed the app, my chest tight. She'd never change, not really. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Part of me still wished, stupidly, that they'd just say sorry and mean it. That they'd pick me, just once. But I knew better now. They'd always choose themselves: Sophie's image, Diane's control, Richard's pride. I wasn't their daughter or sister in their eyes. I was their insurance policy, nothing more. Noah knocked on my office door, carrying takeout. "You look like you need a break," he said, setting a burrito in front of me. "Eat. Then tell me how you're holding up." I unwrapped the burrito, the smell of cilantro grounding me. "I'm okay," I said, surprising myself. "Not great, but okay. They can't hurt me anymore." He nodded, his eyes soft. "That's the Emma I know." I took a bite, glancing at my phone. Another email from Diane, begging for forgiveness. I deleted it without reading. Some bridges don't need burning, they were never built to begin with. Morning light poured through my office window as I typed the last email to Agent Harper, updating her on the support group's progress. Over 30 family members now, each with a story of betrayal, stolen identities, drained accounts, broken trust. I'd become their guide, helping them file fraud reports, navigate banks, and reclaim their lives. It wasn't easy, but it felt right, like I was finally building something that mattered. A young woman sat across from me, just 20, clutching a stack of bank statements. Her name was Lily, one of the victims Agent Harper had connected me with. "Thanks for seeing me," she said, her voice shaky. "I don't know where else to turn." My mom opened a credit card in my name. I didn't even know until the bills came. I smiled gently, recognizing the fear in her eyes. "I know," I said, leaning forward. "Mine did too. Let me show you how to fight back." As I walked her through the steps filing a fraud report, freezing her credit, keeping records, I saw myself in her trembling hands, her uncertain glances. 20-year-old Emma, crying over a ruined credit score, thinking it was her fault. I handed Lily a checklist, my voice calm but firm. "They'll try to guilt you," I said. "They'll say you're tearing the family apart. But you're not breaking anything. You're exposing what's already broken." She nodded, wiping a tear. "Thank you, Emma." I was so scared. "You're not alone," I said, and I meant it. The support group was proof of that, growing stronger every week. Cousins, aunts, even strangers turned allies, all healing together. My phone buzzed with an email from Prison Richard this time. "Diane cries every night. Sophie's struggling. Is this what you wanted? To destroy us?" I deleted it without a second thought, then blocked the entire prison domain. No more guilt trips. No more lies. Lily gathered her papers, her shoulders a little straighter. "Aren't you afraid?" she asked. "Going up against your whole family like this?" I paused, surprised by how easily the answer came. "No," I said. "They don't have power over me anymore. Family isn't just blood. It's trust, respect, love. They never gave me those things." She smiled, small but real, and left with a promise to join the next group meeting. I leaned back, the quiet of the office wrapping around me. My phone lit up with a text from Noah. "Lily's latest prison interview is trending. She's begging for your forgiveness. Total act." I didn't bother checking. Sophie's tears were just another performance, like her Instagram posts from Miami. I called Noah, his voice warm through the line. "How's Lily doing?" he asked. "She's tough," I said, watching the sunset paint the sky outside. Like I was before I learned to fight back. "I'm more than okay, Noah. I'm free." "No regrets?" he asked, a smile in his voice. "None," I said, and it was true. I thought of the support group, of Lily's determined eyes, of my own heart beating without fear for the first time in years. Diane, Richard, and Sophie had made their choices, and now they lived with the consequences. I wasn't their ATM, their scapegoat, or their insurance policy anymore. I opened my laptop, checking emails from the survivor community. "Your story saved me," one read. "I reported my uncle's fraud because of you." Another, "Thank you for showing us we're not alone." Each message was a thread in a new tapestry, one woven with strength and truth. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room. I deleted the last of my family's contacts, Diane, Richard, Sophie, erasing their numbers like I was shedding old skin. "No more branches, no more trees, no more forest," I murmured, a quiet vow to myself. Noah's voice broke through my thoughts. "They say karma catches up eventually," he said, quoting me from weeks ago. I smiled, watching the sky fade to dusk. "Sometimes," I said, "karma looks a lot like the truth." The phone went quiet, but the warmth lingered. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living for myself, for Lily, for everyone they'd hurt. The shadows outside grew longer, but inside, I felt only light. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of what came next.